You're listening to The Disc Golf Show.
What's up, guys? How's it going? Welcome back to The Disc Golf Show. Today is July 29th, 2025. This is episode 15 of the 2025 season. And this show, you know me, I'm Nick. And with me is, again, I do the Justin thing. I don't know where you're at, but with me is...
Hey, I'm Ken, a.k.a. Can You Putt?
All right, cool. So, you guys know the show is brought to you in part by our local pro shop here in Northern California, Final Nine Sports. They have two locations, one in Orangevale and one in Rockland. If you are in our area, stop by Final Nine Sports, grab your goods there. And if you are unable to find, even at your local, because we always say shop local, right? If you are unable to get your goods that you really, really want, your shop isn't able to get them in store, then you can go to our other sponsor, and that is Disc Golf Deals USA. You can go use our link, discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow for 10% off your order. Some things, there are some things that don't get that discount. Usually it's like, I believe like MVP releases and stuff like that, new discs. But for the most part, all the other brands and everything that I know of, get your 10% off. discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow. We will jump into the news. Justin told me I have all the goodies for the noises and the segment intros, but I'm recording this on my phone, guys. Give me a little slack. I can't find them on there. But we will jump into the news here. And the first thing I wanted to get out of the way is only because it's time sensitive. There's only a couple days left for your votes for PDGA Elections. So if you have not done that yet, go do that. There is a phone number that you can call if you're unable to do it online. You can go on the PDGA website, look that up. Or if you didn't see, you can check our last episode, and that number, Justin did relay that phone number to everybody who watches the show. So, if you haven't yet, go vote. If you have issues with how it's being ran, go vote. If you want changes made, go vote. That's how changes are done. I know there's things that I want changed. So, do your due diligence. But what else do we got, Ken? What else do we got?
All right. We heard another great update from Ben Askren. He's out of the hospital. He said he's had a lot of things to relearn, though. Of course, when you go through a dramatic event like that, he's got to learn how to walk again. Really appreciates all the support, though, that he's been continuing to get and everything from everybody. So, yeah, show him some love, definitely keep him in your thoughts and stuff like that. And we'll keep updating you as we get more updates on it. Another update that we found pretty interesting, we figured we'd throw in the news here. We're not sure what's going on with Eric Oakley. Has he stopped competing? The reason why we say that is Instagram shows him hitting skate parks and things like that. Tina, his wife, has made a post stating that her husband, Eric, is going to be home full time. And we also updated you last podcast that they had sold off Whale Sacks, or at least Tina did. I guess it was, it's her endeavor. So, whatever him and Tina are up to, whatever Eric and Tina are up to, we hope the best for them.
Yeah, most definitely. They've contributed a ton to disc golf while they were involved, and whatever they do, they're successful at. One thing I didn't say at the very beginning of the show, yes, Justin isn't here. He's in the hospital himself. I'm just kidding. Let's move on. Okay, guys. So check this out, guys. We have two big events that happened and are now happening. The first one that we're going to discuss is the one that just happened just a little over a week and a half ago, and that was the new major, the European Disc Golf Festival. This was an event that was held last year as well. Prior to that, they had exhibition type competitions as well, where they had the teams that went up against each other and everything like that, which is always fun to see because they have a little more fun with it. Though some of that, we've discussed this, a lot of those exhibitions, they kind of need to up their game on the video portion of it and how they manage it. But all in all, it's still fun to watch. The so here's the issue. Well, before I get to my constructive criticism, my old manners. Before I get there, definitely let's go through who were the winners of this event. So we had two new winners, two new major winners, and for me, it's the argument of this, and you've probably heard this. So we'll kind of cruise through the quote unquote major conversation on this. There's a ton of people who say, well, is this a major? Is this not a major? It's considered a major, so therefore it's a major. Now, I'll get to that. So the two new major winners that we have was Silva Saarinen. Well-deserved. She ended up beating Kristen out, who Kristen, I think in the last 9 holes, had a decent lead going into the final 9 holes. Silva ended up being able to push through, and Kristen, it sounds like her putting's having some issues. She's not as connected as she in the past. So, she let that one slip by her. And finally, MPO major winner, we have Calvin Heimberg. So he's been chasing this for 15, 20 years, however long he's been playing disc golf. You've seen some interviews probably by now from him. Big shout out to him. To be honest with you, and I'm gonna let you guys know here. I didn't used to like Calvin back in the day. Reason being is because only because nothing from his fault. It was just lack of information is what it comes to. So I never saw much personality from him in tournaments, right? So he's very stoic, very even keeled, not a lot of facial expressions when he plays. He's just.
So you don't like Silva Saarinen, the other first-time major winner, huh?
It's an interesting, exactly. Silva has, it seems on the course, no personality.
Yeah,
I'm sure off the course it's much more different for Silva, but it is different for Calvin. And after I started seeing his personality come out in different videos, he definitely won me over. And again, no fault to himself. It's all on me on that. So I am very excited for him that he does have a major now and he can call himself a major champion. We had a couple aces. There may have been more than these two, but a couple notables was Simon got his first major event ace, and that was on hole 8, which was a tight little tunnel shot. You've probably seen clips of that online. And then in the first round, I think it was, right?
No,
Isaac Robinson ace was second round. Isaac Robinson aces hole 18 to finish out his round. So some really, really cool aces at that event. The way that it was managed, amazing, right? All the way that they treated the athletes, the access for fans, the areas in which the fans could sit to get good views, the property itself definitely becomes is becoming for a major, and it is welcoming to public and to viewers, right? People on property, which is awesome. That's what I would like to see more of at every event. Things that I
agree with you on that one. The property, the presentation, again, the big screen with the, with smoke and everything, and introducing them the way they did, and just having them secluded off in their own little warm-up area, things like that were top-notch and should be executed to the best of their ability going further in other majors and worlds competition. I understand it's possible to do it at everyone, but go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the big screen that they walk out of. Last year when that came out, I saw it the first time and I was like, yes, we need more of this, because it makes it feel larger than it is. We all know disc golf is still niche, it's still small comparative to other sports, right? But it makes it look to the viewers, to new people who are coming in, that, hey, this is definitely a bigger sport than we thought it was. Whether or not they know the size of it worldwide or whatnot, and how the purses and all that stuff, it looks it, which looking the part is definitely important in ultimate growth for the sport. So where we want to see it and want it to look like, that's where we need to push it so that we can get that viewership pushed out to more people. But I have some constructive criticisms for this event. As I always do, you guys probably love them so much, hearing me knock on these amazing events. And yes, ultimately, to me, they're wonderful events. You know, I'm not dogging them to say that they're horrible. It's just I like to point out things that I feel could be better. And it's only in the hopes that the events do get better. So it's not no ill will towards anybody, because all I know, I've helped out at A-tier events. I helped out at USWDGC, so I've helped out at major events. I know just from the portion that I helped out in and a ton of other people that were involved, what goes on to put on events like this. And it's a lot of work. So not taking anything away from these people. So let's get into it. Let's run through it really quick and we can get into the most current event. So one thing is one of the holes had a couple buildings, like just on the fairway, basically like just on the sides of the fairway. Not a fan of that. I don't feel that that should be an obstacle. Obstacles in disc golf should be natural obstacles, or at least natural looking obstacles. And buildings didn't do it for me. Not a fan of that. Cameramen, there was one point where Wysocki was going to throw, and the cameraman was almost in his peripheral, like 20 feet from him, it looked like, to the left, and in almost in front of him to where the guy was kind of moving towards. And Wysocki had to stop and go, hey, move back, move out of the way. That should not be happening at this stage. We've been doing live video for a long time. That stuff shouldn't be happening. I harp on this all the time. Platform T-pads are a bad idea, just for the case that somebody trips going up onto it or trips off the side or off the end. Now, one thing I did like is that they did have it looked like a delineated area on the pad for them to round off to. You know what I mean? And they're also doing that with the other event that's going on now, which is cool. I don't like them.
Yeah, it's so easy to just make them bigger. Make them wider, make them longer, both.
Yes.
Like they were just too small. We talked about this. If you're still they're still walking off the back of them and then having to step up onto them, they're too small.
They're too small.
And that's an easy fix. Exactly. It's something that everybody at this point in time that's building them should know. You don't have to make them long enough for James Conrad to do his run up. But when you're seeing someone like Niklas Antala, I saw, still walking up on the platform, that's dangerous. You should not do that. You're treating your athletes like athletes in the beginning of the event, like we just talked about. Make the platforms bigger. Sorry, that's my
Well, no, definitely. And in that same aspect, like you don't have to make the whole platform that much bigger. Put a gradual ramp up to it.
Sure.
If you're worried about having, and I get it at these like this location, I understand because they can't dig them into the ground, right? They're not being allowed to do that. Totally get that. But
all the way
if you're going to do this, put an extension off the back that has a very gradual slope for them to run up on. We said this last show. I said this is if 90%. And it's probably more than that. If 90% of the players start from off the T-pad, like you just said, T-pads are too small. Make them bigger. Make it more appropriate for them to be more comfortable on their run-up, because it's just it's not fair to the athlete. We want to see the best out of athletes. We should be providing them with. But yeah, so that, and then again, I kind of touched on this a little bit. Does this event deserve a major title status? Now, I'm not the one who dictates that, and I know that. So it's a major. It's a major. I think one of the things is that this event has only been held since 2023. So my opinion, or not even opinion, my viewpoint on this is that, or actual question for you guys watching, should an event that's going to be a major have more of a history in the sport and have more of a presence to where it deserves that major title? Again, I'm not the one who says this. I find it interesting that they just deem this a major when it hasn't even been going for not even 5 years. So
My
I don't
point
hate it.
on that real quick, and just my opinion is you got to start somewhere.
You do, but
But
for
so
me,
you can't
somewhere,
say, oh, it's got to have some history, when obviously the first Worlds, the first majors, first USDGC, they earned that, as a thing, and they were already majors. They were already a thing. So I give them a little grace when it comes to especially international disc golf. We just haven't gone over there, that much. We just started giving them bids and awarding them bids. So, and the fact that they made it so close to Worlds, there's a lot of criticism there. It's like, well, that's really just trying to accommodate the players and staff and everybody else traveling over there. So you're not flying back and forth. You're not spending all that money. Once you're over there, you're over there. So I even give that a little bit of grace. But yeah, I have no problem with them calling it a major. And I don't even mind the birdie or die, got to get every hole kind of major also. It's not preferred. I'm just saying I don't mind it because we don't have many others of those, maybe one other. So I don't necessarily mind.
So yeah. So on that note, yeah, I'm definitely not against this event being a major.
Mm-hmm.
One, the main reason is how it was put together and how it's managed.
Right.
The management of the event and the backing and the country, in fact, the cities, they do more than enough to consider this a major, in my opinion. I think that the only thing that I was stating was, and again, like I said, I'm not against it. The only thing I was stating was, to me, an event in my thought process, because again, I don't create these majors, so I don't know how they deem something becoming a major.
Right.
My thought process would be, okay, this event started off as an A tier. It became a, what did they call them back in the day? The bigger events. It wasn't the Pro Tour. It was the, National Tour, NT events. And then it's had some history going back. And yeah, USDGC definitely has had a ton of history. World's history, it travels, so it's gonna, but yeah, I just more of a talking point than anything for me. It's just kind of surprising that a 3-year-old event is a major. But again, deservedly so as to how it was put on. And the other thing is you were mentioning the whole birdie or die thing on this. I think it's not a bad thing because there should be different types of majors out there. This next one we're going to be discussing here shortly is completely different. It's not a birdie or die, so I think it's a different style of disc golf that is fun to watch for sure, because you're always hoping, can anybody get a perfect round? Is there any possibility? That's kind of an exciting portion of disc golf. A lot of people knock how easy it is, but when you see that perfect round, you're super excited. Like when Paul hit that twice, insanity broke out. Like everybody was crazy about the fact that he had a perfect round, The one other thing that I did want to state is, at this event, when the awards were given, there was a podium. I don't consider a major needing Olympics style award ceremony. I think when it comes to these type of sports, like solo sports like this, in their own, not like if it was at the Olympics, obviously different, but on their own, I think that that doesn't need to happen. It lengthens it out. I think the people who are sitting there watching, they want to see the winner. They don't care who came in second or third for the most part. They just want to see, okay, that's my guy won. Again, everybody has their own opinion. They might want to see their favorite player in second place on the podium, but that wasn't my favorite part of it. It just I don't know. In the way that it wasn't super. That portion of it, the ending wasn't like super. Like I don't know if you noticed, Gannon couldn't even open the champagne bottle. Calvin opened it for
Calvin.
Like that was hilarious. I don't know how many people caught on to that. Yeah. I don't know how many people caught onto that, but I saw that and I was just like chuckling to myself. But all in all, I like this event. It's a fun event. I like the exhibition portion of it with the team competition and all that stuff. And we discussed that before, how it would be nice to see more people involved in that. But yeah, I mean, again, shout out to Silva and Calvin.
Yeah, congratulations to both of them, first-time major winners, and that can't be taken away. It's in the books. Real quick, my thought on the award ceremony, I absolutely loved it. I think they should do that more often. We just discussed it, that they did it again.
Everybody has different opinions.
Yeah, at the world ceremonies, they just did it again. And we'll talk about that next when we talk about the pre-events for Worlds. I personally like it. I think it's great that they do the anthems for the players, that they give the players their special attention, and again, in front of the crowd. Now, the execution of it, I think, could have been done a little bit faster. And then also during the broadcast, like you said, you could tell there's still new people in disc golf. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but, when they're interviewing Silva and the room is literally inside of the platform that they're teeing off on, and you hear the announcers announcing the MPO field as they're going out. And Silva's already a difficult interview because she's shy. She doesn't English is her second language, things like that. So she literally sat there and was like, do we continue? Like, should we continue? Like, she didn't even realize it was live, I don't think. Yeah. And also got so disturbed by everybody pouncing on her head, all the announcements and everything. She didn't know what to do. That was a big fail to me. That was my major criticism of the event. When you're doing something like that, there we are, first-time winner. And of all people, it's Silva, who's already, again, has her difficulties on the mic, in front of a camera, things like that. And then you've got all this excess, again, just think ahead. Same with the T-pads, think ahead. Like you and I have been in the sport a long time, but it's not rocket science to think of these things.
Yeah.
It only takes a couple seconds to go, wait a minute. Do we really want to do the post-round interviews here? And you've literally got a year out to think of all this stuff. So, also, like you said, about the structures being in the field of play, there was a sculpture, supposedly that made piano things, sounds or whatever. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
So let's wrap that up. Let's move on to what everybody's talking about. The PDGA started World competitions already. You've had the Long-Drive event. You had a putting championship already. So let's go over those. In the Long-Drive event, you had Finland's own Rasmus. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name. Sorry, Rasmus. I want to give you your flowers. Do you have an idea how to pronounce that?
I would guess Saukaripi.
Sure.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm slaughtering it probably.
He won with a 647 foot throw. AB came in second. He hit 632 feet. Then on the FPO side, we had Ella Hansen winning that one with 452 feet. And don't remember any of the other girls that were on there. There were some over there.
Yeah, there were a few other people on there. I forget who it was, though. Was Kat?
Right.
Maybe Kat can bomb. Merch.
Yeah, there was about 12 competitors in the long distance. But speaking of Kat in the putting championships, the FPO winner was Kat Merge. So good for her. We were watching the ceremonies again when she got presented with the medal. This is why I say that we should do the medals and we should treat it like the Olympics. We saw Kat get emotional when they were playing the national anthem, and she got her medal and she uttered, "I've always wanted to get a medal." So to her, it meant a lot, and I'm glad they did it. Spurge came in second in the putting competition, and Ella Hansen again. Ella Hansen's shown she's pretty well rounded. She can bomb and she can putt. And then in the MPO side, you had speaking of old school, Josh Anton made an appearance in the finalists. So you had Gannon Buhr winning. Right?
People don't remember. People don't know. Josh Anton is a beast at putting.
Mm-hmm.
He has been around a long time, and he has a deadly putt. Like he plays. So he's from my area, Northern California, and I've watched him in person multiple times at St. Patrick's Classic, and he has these putts that are just so committed and so online that he's won this A-tier event many times. It used to be a mainstay for the tour back in the day, but he's just got an incredible consistent putt. So it's not, I would say it's surprising maybe with the array of players that are out there now, but it's not surprising in general.
Oh, no, not at all. Sorry if I put that intention out there. No, he's one of the, Calvin was always a runner-up in majors. Well, if you look at Josh Anton at Worlds, you're going to see his name in second place at a lot of Worlds back in the day. I didn't want to miss anybody, but there was in the putting championship, I think there was a bunch of ties or something like that too. I saw on the podium. Was that the putting one?
That was
everybody was up on the second place podium.
That was the mixed doubles.
Mixed doubles.
So, mixed doubles. The winners were Ben Callaway and Chandler Reigh. I think it's Reigh.
Right.
They won mixed doubles, but there was like 3 teams that tied for second.
Yeah,
so there was no
five-way tie or something like that in there.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Hey, it's still world titles that these people can put on their resume and things like that. So.
Now, when you say the podium thing, I'm not anti-podium when it comes to exhibition stuff.
Okay.
I don't mind it for that. I think it's for the main event, the actual tournament is where I kind of like to see all the attention go to the winner, because it's a big event. It's, the exhibitions I'm perfectly fine with podiums. I don't have an issue with that. So it is fun to see them out there and get excited about that too, like Kat.
Sure.
But yeah, it was fun to watch some of the videos this morning.
Now, there was also a press conference. If anybody watches those, again, I'm obsessed. I watch it all. I'll be honest, I didn't watch every single person talk. Actually, the first one that you mentioned here in our show notes is Paul trying to tie Climo in major wins. I skipped Paul's press conference. I've seen him in press conferences for 20 years. So, I just, Evelina's defending champ, so of course she wants to get her second one, her second Worlds. Missy also wants a world title. I think that would be a great capper in her career. She's done everything you could to this point in disc golf in the FPO field. I think the only thing she really needs is that last feather in her cap, and that's a world title. And she can do it. Absolutely. If her putting's on, she's shown that she doesn't have to be the furthest, off the tee or anything like that. If her putt's on, she can do it. Niklas Antala, he also wants to win for Finland. Eveliina's finished too. So that's a great storyline to keep following. See if any Finnish player can win Worlds while they're in Finland and stuff like that. And again, Niklas, that would be a great start to his career. He's so young, and he, to get that would be his first major, I believe, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Has he won a major?
And of course, and you got Isaac Robinson, who's got 2 world titles already, so he can get a third. That would put him in a very elite company, getting that third win. And then Gannon Buhr, of all things, again, very young in the game, but to have that world title already would really put him in elite company and already cement him as one of the best we've seen. And then we'll talk about that in our next topic too. That kind of bleeds over into our disc golf conversation topic. But anyway, Worlds is starting. Make sure, I'm going to say it now, and I'll remind you later on. If you do fantasy, get your picks in, because as of recording now, it starts tomorrow. So get your picks in, get your rosters updated.
Yeah, so at Worlds, I did see a couple, not necessarily teasers, but posts. It's being held in Tampere and Nokia, Finland. There are 2 courses that are being used, and one of them plays 3 times, while the other plays twice. It's the Monster and the Beast. Those are the 2 courses. One thing I really liked about this is one of the posts I saw, and you can follow a link in our show notes here down below. They're using stakes now to not only, I'm sure, for the players, but as a viewer, it's going to help you know, if you see these stakes, how far the players are away from the pin.
Yeah.
So I think that's great, because then it really dials in for the viewer of, what they might be throwing if you follow your pro's bag.
Right.
And the how accurate these players can be from these distances. So a blue is from 150 meters away, red is from 100 meters from the basket, and yellow is going to be 50 meters from the basket. I think this is a great addition.
Same.
Now, whether it's posts or maybe some sort of a smaller, because the other thing with this is now, will these become how far off the fairway are they? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Will they aren't going to be in the middle. We know that, but will they come into play on a shot in some way where it hits one of these, kicks out of bounds, hits one of these, rolls off,
right,
keeps a disc from rolling or skipping on forward further? I'm curious as if that will come into play, but I'm glad that they're starting to do this, because this has been a topic.
We've talked about it in the past. They need something like this for people watching the event, for that context of, okay, man, that disc flew a while, but you have no idea how far it was.
All you know is that those guys can throw far. And you're like, well, it doesn't matter how far they're away. They can throw far, they can reach it. Well, now you're going to have much more visual information to be able to go, they just threw 450 feet with a mid-range, or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? So I think that's really, really, definitely really cool. Cool to see. Last thing on the docket for the news section is, I just saw a recent post that the PDGA, not only are they adopting some betting rules from the Disc Golf Pro Tour, but they're allowing now the majors to be part of the betting. So I don't know. Again, we've talked about whether or not betting makes it better or not. It obviously brings money in one way or another.
You're breaking up bad for me, by the way, Nick.
Am I? Okay.
Yeah. I didn't hear anything you said. I don't know. So,
okay.
sorry.
All right. So
we record this live. But...
Don't worry about it. It's recording on my end. So is betting good for disc golf? We've talked about that multiple times. And I think that it brings in money. Like I said, whichever way you look at it, it's going to bring in money one way or another. Whether it's the betting company that's sponsoring the tour, or people going out and betting and whatnot. So ultimately, you can follow the link and you can see how what that announcement was. And that's it, guys. That's the end of the news. But what we're gonna do here, before we move on, we want to ask you to do us a favor. Click that subscribe button, hit like, all that helps. You don't even know how much it helps. And if you don't like us, you can always unsubscribe later. So don't worry about it. But hit that subscribe button for us. Moving on, we're jumping into the disc golf conversation portion. I know this is all kind of conversation, but we usually have a specific question. This one's probably going to be pretty quick question for you guys, and we'd like to hear your opinion on this. Do you think there's still room for growth in the ability aspect of the players at the top level in disc golf? And if so, how? And what I mean by that is, do you think they're going to be able to be throwing further? Do you think they're going to be more consistent on the green in the future? Do you think that they're going to be able to dial in ways that make these top pros better? Or will it just be a consistency question moving forward?
I'll quick bring up a point that I saw in the press conference that kind of addresses this situation, this question perfectly. Eveliina mentioned to Terry Miller in the press conference that she has been self-taught in her throwing and has never taken a lesson, never thought about her form or anything like that. We've also heard another FPO, one of the newcomers, Eliezra. She had mentioned the same thing. She's self-taught and they both throw the disc amazingly well. Where, on the other hand, Holland Hanley, who was literally giggling at Eveliina when she was saying, no, I've never took a lesson. I've never reviewed form or anything like that. I just throw, is the exact opposite. She has an engineering degree, if you don't know. Never threw a disc, not even, a Frisbee until she started playing disc golf. So, but is very much into form and breaking down form and all that. But anyway, we've talked about that many, many, many times. And we also know plenty of MPO players that are the same way. They just got on the course and started ripping discs. And that's what they relied on. And then they went back and learned how to putt and things like that. You have plenty of MPO players that just putt constantly when they're not on the course, that constantly do field work and things like that. And then there's others that just chill and they just rely on their natural ability and they barely put in any practice time and and all that, and it works fine for them. There's also even some players that specifically just practice distance and focus on the distance contest and focus on throwing it far and don't care about any other part of their game. It's really to each their own. In saying that, I do think there is still a long way to go because of the fact that it is still such a new sport. And even though the disc design isn't going to get much more innovative, absolutely, as a coach myself, I think that as more coaching gets involved, as more, it depends on the person, but maybe you need a sports psychologist, things like that. As that gets more involved in the sport, psychology and the mental aspect of the game and things, I think that's only going to elevate the sport more and more and more. As courses get better, we talked about that, the equipment on the course, tee pads, things like that. As the disc catchers get better and can receive the putts better, receive, throw-ins better, things like that. I think we still have innovation and places to go when it comes to, disc golf and people getting better. So to me, yeah, I think there's definitely still growth. But let's hear your opinion. Leave it in the comments, please. Share it on social media at the Disc Golf Show. Find us on socials. Definitely, on the YouTube chat. Let's have a conversation. What do you guys think? Do you like my opinion? Do you not like my opinion? What's your opinion on if we can grow, still when it comes to skill, or are we capped out? Do you think that like Gannon Buhr and AB are the top of the line when it comes to distance and accuracy and things like that? So let us know. I see Nick is having trouble with his broadcast and he's popping in and out. I look like I'm still recording, so I'm going to quick go to gear and equipment Approved July 21st, Trash Panda has his first distance driver. Again, I'm terrible at pronouncing things, so I'm going to let him do that. It's a recycled, out of production mold that he bought. And again, he's done a whole video on it. We love his videos. Trash Panda's got great videos. We have it linked here in the show notes. So if you want to see, what Jesse at Trash Panda has been up to, like you said, bought an old out of production mold and then recycled that mold because his whole thing's about recycling. And he's got his first distance driver for Trash Panda. Next is Discraft Zone SS. That was, let's see, same approval date. We've got the Discraft, another Malta. Is that what I'm seeing there? And then Innova Fox and an Innova Arcanon. I don't know what that
I'm back. Yeah. You there? Yeah, I don't know what's going on this time.
Yeah,
man,
really.
Hey. So listen. Let's jump back into that question really quick. I don't know what's going on with us lately. One of us, it's always something now, right? So I did hear you at the end there talking about, back to the conversation really quick, about you seeing, to me, it sounded like there's definitely still room for growth. It's still a young sport and all that. I do think that distance-wise, we're probably getting near that top-out point. But all other aspects within eSport, there's always ways that you can make little incremental differences to make yourself more consistent, more of a better athlete and all. But yeah. Sorry, guys, for that dropout. Justin, I'll let you know, Justin's going to kill me because of this. So sorry, Justin. Anyways, guys, as Ken was doing, you were going over some of the gear and equipment. Where were you at?
You can take over July 28th, the approvals, if you want to continue from there.
All right. So in July 28th, Ken already went through the July 21st stuff for gear and equipment approvals. July 28th, we had Discmania had the founder. We have Good Tree Disc Golf, which had their first disc approved called the Knot, KNOT. And then we had Forge Discs, and their disc is called the Temper. It is their third approved discs, and these are all like 3D printed style discs. So that's another, there's a couple companies out there that do that now. It's going to be interesting how well they survive or how long they survive, if they survive. But it's always good to see those different style discs come out. As always, other products, we want to give you guys an affiliate. There's an affiliate link down below for Vessi shoes. So if you need a new pair of shoes, we do like our Idios as well, but we do have an affiliate link for Vessi here. Go check them out. And then we are jumping directly into, well, honestly, I don't know how much information you're going to have because, as you said before, take it away. It's Ken's fantasy segment.
Yes. My fantasy segment's going to be short and sweet because, we did have the major happen 2 weeks ago, and now we're going into Worlds. Almost everybody is at Worlds, so it's really tough to give you any advice on your rosters and things like that. There's no notables that I know of that isn't there, that's not playing. So start everybody, start your starters. But I'll remind everybody again, as of us recording this, World starts tomorrow. So, hopefully you'll hear this soon enough. Hopefully you got your rosters all set up and ready to go because, it comes quick because of the extension of Worlds. It's kind of the cream rises to the top when it comes to Worlds. So it's not as long as it used to be. It used to be like 9 rounds and a final 9 and things like that. But in this case, it is still starting early. So get your rosters in there. Nothing's really changed in the way of world rankings or anything like that either. I do notice that Statmando and the PDGA are a little off in their MPO rankings, considering in the world rankings, you got Wysocki being second, and he's not even in Statmando's rankings at all. You got Buhr, Barella, and Anthala in the Statmando rankings. And then Buhr, Wysocki, and Robinson in the PDGA world rankings. So, a little bit of mix up there. And again, all great fantasy players, all very consistent. So to tie it into fantasy there, you know, if you have them, you're probably doing pretty well in fantasy.
Yeah, the only
That's all
person I saw,
fantasy segment.
the only person I saw that wasn't going to be there was one of my guys. That just a little quick shout out to Skip Ace. I do love my Skip Ace. I have Silas Schultz on my roster, and he was on my starting, but I know he was not there, and I double checked to make sure that I was correct that he was not there. But on Skip Ace, it does show him with a green line. Usually, if there's green surrounding their picture, it shows them that they're going to be attending that event. So I don't know if those updates, those awesome updates, by the way, that have come to Skip, if they've affected that portion of the website. But yeah, Silas Schultz isn't there. So kind of sad about that. Would like to see him out there.
A big name that's definitely not there.
Yeah.
And definitely should be adjusted for your rosters. And forgive me, JVD. I did not shout out the new updates that you did on Skip Ace. I think it's fantastic. I don't even have the pro. I can't imagine how good the pro updates are. You know, I still have just a free version, and it looks great. I was lucky enough to be one of the beta testers for him, you know, throughout the whole year and in years past. I'll pat myself on the back. I was one of the very first people to sign up for Skip Ace. So I've been on his site and his platform, you know, since inception, just about, and I've been lucky enough to have also then gained his trust as someone who can beta test things for him. But yeah, the updates are great. So again, if you haven't joined Skip Ace yet, and you're, you know, still on the fence, still got a lot of season to go, you can still do the free leagues and things like that, and do weekly on Skip Ace. You know, please, you know, give Skip Ace a shot and do your fantasy stuff there.
Yeah. Also, if you haven't gone on, there's also the Hold My Bag thing. I know some of the pro players are doing that stuff, like Aaron Gossage and Ezra Aderhold. They kind of announce that on their videos when they do their test round or practice round videos. So go check out Hold My Bag as well. They have a free option, and then they also have a paid option also. But as for upcoming events outside of obviously the one that's starting later tonight or tomorrow as Worlds, we have a few coming up. We have July 30th, which is Worlds, tomorrow through August 3rd. We have shortly after that, in the All Birdies No Bogeys podcast, Seppo Paju was there, and he's putting on the 2025 Turku Open, which is a Disc Golf Pro Tour event in Turku, Finland. That is August 8th through 10th. And then also, at that same time, there's going to be a few disc golfers, in addition to Brian Earhart, again, heard via their podcast, August 7th through 17th, the World Games in Chengdu, China. So their disc golf is going to be represented there. So big shout out to the World Games for including disc golf. And then our friends up north, as always, September 12th to 14th, the Canadian Championship, which is a Disc Golf Pro Tour Q Series in Port Hope, Ontario. Big shout out to them, and hopefully that event goes well. And we will move on to the mailbag, and hopefully this recording is not so messed up for Justin, because again, he's going to beat me. I'll just let you know ahead of time, you may just see me make a quick post saying, hey guys, there may not be a video this week, but we will get it up at some point. And sorry for the late upload, because Justin's a busy man, and he tends to take care of this stuff when we have these issues. One thing I did want to shout out as for product review in our mailbag is our friends over at Disc Golf Pins. They always have pins. They've got these cool little keychains that they have, and they've got patches. They've got patches that they do, which are always cool. This and nice and stuff like that. The reason why I bring them up is because we just did our order for our local new club, Roseville Disc Golf Club, and we got our pins, our club pins for that from them. So a big shout out to Disc Golf Pins. We love Nina and those who run that business. Quality product.
Pins on my cart, on my putter.
Yeah, quality product. Good communication, good customer service. Never had a bad experience with them. As for the community video, there is a new on-tour video from the Disc Golf Pro Tour Disc Golf Network called The Book of Isaac. And it followed him on one of the events that, and hearing his mindset and in addition to his wife as well. So go check that out. The link will be in the notes below. And outside of that, do you have anything before I go to our outro?
Disc Golf Answer Man. Bobby has been doing individual interviews and things like that. Another YouTuber that I really like, and he sells discs and stuff like that, is Six Sided Discs. Bobby and Six Sided Discs got together and did a video, very informative. And then, if you hadn't seen it yet, it's been out for a little bit. Bobby also interviewed Foundation, interviewed Hunter.
Yep, Hunter. Yep.
And that interview is amazing, especially for people like us in this space. Content creators, podcasters, things like that. They go over some great, insider information, I'll call it, or at least, some guidance in, if you're interested in doing what we're doing, if you're interested in starting a YouTube and reviewing discs and things like that. They're an extensive talk about both of them, Six Sided Discs and Foundation, give you really good insight on how they started and what they do with their YouTube content and things like that. So shout out.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, we love ourselves some Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, Bobby Brown. And I guess that's it, guys. We'll move on to our outro here. We've got a couple things. If you're in the market for a new disc golf bag, you can check out Upper Park Disc Golf. Use code DiscGolfShow, and you can get 15% off your purchase. Our friends over at Disc Golf Deals, if you do not find your goods at your local pro shop, you can go to discgolfdeals.com/discgolfshow, get 10% off your purchase, exclusions apply. And then, as always, we like to promote our local pro shop. Partial sponsor is Final Nine Sports. They have 2 locations, one in Orangevale and one in Rockland, Northern California. And if you do have any hate mail for what's happened today or anything I've said, feel free, send it to me at nick@discgolfshow.com. Otherwise, if you have some subjects or any items you want to share, any information that you're trying to promote for your business, you can always send us an email to theshow@discgolfshow.com. If you have any questions, feel free to send it there. And then subscribe, click that notification bell for our future videos. Hopefully they are one nice, smooth sailing video in the future. And like button and for Justin, for Ken and for Justin, in disc golf as in life, aim high and let it fly, guys.